This could be a very good and fun year for Rangers fans to watch this team, as well as to see this team do really well. I think this team has the true potential to be an actual Stanley Cup contender or champion. It is that kind of a team. And adding in a guy like Peter Laviolette, who has, won multiple Stanley Cups. He's been to the NHL Finals multiple times. He's done a lot of good stuff over his entire coaching career. And I think overall, this team is in a better spot than we were last year. Now, obviously, yes, every year you're trying to get better. You're trying to, be a better team and upgrade where you can and stuff. But I think, honestly, this team is at least a few steps better than we were last year. We have some more experience in the room as well. And I know Patrick Kane and Tarasenko got brought over, but they didn't do nearly as much as we would have expected and hoped for. Personally, I kind of thought we would have gotten a lot more out of Patrick Kane. And I think most Rangers fans did as well. But unfortunately, they just didn't get the job done for us, and it does kind of suck. It does suck that we couldn't, see, Tarasenko and Kane light it up and help us, win a Stanley Cup, and obviously them get a couple more, one more for each of them under their belt. But I think that it is good to see that we added a guy like a Blake Wheeler, who obviously has not won a cup yet, and he's going to be a guy who he's going to really, I'm sure, want to win a cup. Every NHL player obviously wants to win a Stanley Cup, but for a guy like Blake Wheeler, he's getting into his, mid to late 30s now. He's not going to be an absolutely fantastic top six kind of winger that he is right now, in 4 or 5 years. He's just not going to be. So he doesn't have too many great years left. So I do think that, honestly, a guy like Blake Wheeler is going to give it 110% this year to try and get the job done. He didn't come to the Rangers and sign a much cheaper deal here, because he could have gotten at least, I would imagine, 3.5, 4 mil, something around there at minimum. Maybe not much more than like 5 or something, but on a 1-year deal for a guy who can still be a 60-plus point kind of guy, being an absolutely fantastic playmaker, giving you 20 goals, but also giving you like maybe 50, 60 assists. That is a possibility with a guy like Blake Wheeler. He still has a chance to be a point per game guy. And I think being in this team with this absolutely loaded top 9 now, and overall forward core, I think could be really good for a guy like Blake Wheeler. He doesn't have to be, one of the top dogs. I'm not saying obviously the Jets have a very good forward core, but I think Blake Wheeler is going to be just a very nice complementary player to a line of like maybe Zibanejad and Kreider, or Zibanejad and a Lafreniere with Wheeler. That could be a very good couple lines there, and I'm not sure what we're going to see out of Wheeler. I think get power play 2 minutes as well, but I think overall this could be very good for this team, and a guy like Blake Wheeler could really, really impact this team very well. And there's other guys as well. Obviously, it would have been nice to bring back Tyler Maw, but it doesn't seem like we're going to do that at this point. But our fourth line is going to look really nice. It's going to be made up of a lot of guys who just are tough, dependable, reliable defensive forwards who can also produce a bit offensively. A guy like Nick Bonino, he can put up 30 points on that fourth line, playing a good two-way role, being a penalty killer, winning some good faceoffs. He is a pretty solid faceoff guy. Over his career is like a plus 50% kind of guy. So he definitely can do really good in the draws. You're also going to have a guy like a Barclay Gaudreau on that fourth line, which is some pretty solid depth. He's really kind of more of like a third line kind of guy, and we're throwing him on our fourth line. So that is very good there. He can also play a bit of center as well. So if injuries happen, then Gaudreau can slide up the lineup if need be. And also on the right side of things, you're probably going to have a guy like a Tyler Pitlick, who is nothing insane, but for a fourth liner, I think can provide some good depth and just a solid NHL body. He's not going to be a liability by any means, but just a solid player. We got some other good depth guys on the D-core as well, like Eric Gustafson, Zach Jones, Matthew Robertson. We have some good call-ups as well. And I think overall this team is in a very good spot this year to really try and compete for something. And I think this team is built better for the playoffs and Stanley Cup potential team than we were last year. Guys like Patrick Kane and Tarasenko, they're great players, but those two guys are negatives defensively. Let's be honest here, they are not by any means even average defensive players. Tarasenko's at least maybe somewhat closer than Patrick Kane is, but let's be real here. They are not good defensive players by any means. So I do think that these guys, obviously being gone now and having some more defensive guys in there, and just overall better core, and hopefully we can see guys like Kakko and Lafreniere take some big steps forward, which I definitely expect them to do. I think we could be in for a very good year this year. And I definitely do think that we will be, again, in the top 3 in the Metro. It's going to be an absolute fight. It's going to be a battle. I think us, Carolina, and New Jersey are all fairly close teams, especially for the regular season here. So it's going to be an absolute fight. In the next couple of weeks here, I'll probably have a video up, given my kind of Metropolitan Division rankings and what Eastern Conference, something like that as well. But I definitely do think it's going to be a tough fight. But I think we honestly do have a legit shot at winning the Metro. getting that first seed in the Metro, whether it's, the 1 or 2 seed overall in the Eastern Conference, we'll have to wait and see. But I do think that this team is looking very good this year. We have a lot more depth than last year as well. I think guys like, Ben Harper as a very depth guy. You got Eric Gustafsson. You have, Zach Jones. One of those guys will make the team, obviously. I'm guessing it's probably going to be Zach Jones, but we'll have to wait and see. But I think having a guy like Eric Gustafsson as that kind of 7th, 8th D-man alongside a guy like a Ben Harper, who's also there as that 7th, 8th D-man, that'd provide some very good depth defensively. And, overall, a guy like Connor Mackey as well, he's a decent little pickup as well for a depth defenseman. You've got Jonathan Quick as your backup now, who I think could maybe do, hopefully, at least as good as Halak did last year. Halak was pretty solid overall, especially in the second half last year. Had a pretty rough start to his career at the Rangers, but after that, definitely not going a bit more. So hopefully, Quick can be a very good above-average backup goalie, which I definitely think he can be. And then, obviously, as our 3rd and 4th goalies, we have Louis Domingue, who I think is a very solid 3/4, and then also having Dylan Garand as well, who is a solid 3/4. So that could be very good for this team. I'm guessing Garand is probably going to be that 3rd-string goalie there in case of an injury or whatever. We need a call-up. I think Dylan Garand will probably be that guy. And for the forward core side of things, I don't think the depth is nearly as good as the D-core side of things, but definitely not too bad at all. Having guys like Alex Belzil as your 13th forward, or whether it's a Will Cooley or a Brennan Othman, isn't the worst thing in the world. You also got Johnny Brodzinski, Jake Lesession. Like, those guys are not bad. Riley Nash as well is definitely a solid kind of depth forward as well. So, overall, I think the depth on the forward core isn't bad. Not quite as good as the D core, I think. Having guys like Ben Harper, Eric Gustafsson, Zach Jones, Matthew Robertson, those kind of guys are really, really solid as your extra D-men. But I think overall, we have some very good depth in this team. In case of injuries, I'm sure at some point we will see at least minimum Will Cooley out of the prospects on the forward side of things. But definitely, we could see Brendan Othman at some point as well. I mean, they're going to get a lot of run in the preseason, I'm sure. But we definitely could see Will Cooley at some point as that top call-up kind of guy, because he is a very good player. But Alex Belzil seems like he's probably that 13th forward for right now, but Will Cooley is probably that 14th guy, the next guy to get called up, because he is a very good player and also had a cup of tea last year with the Rangers, had a couple games there, played decent, didn't score any points or anything like that, but definitely looked pretty solid. But overall, I think this team has some really good depth, and we should be excited for this season. It's going to be a lot of fun, and we could see some absolutely massive breakout years from guys like Lafreniere, Kakko, maybe Braden Schneider, Zach Jones could take a step in the NHL. I'm excited to see what can happen here. We're only a month or so away from preseason hockey. It's going to be a ton of fun this year. I'm going to have daily videos out every single day, so definitely if you're a Rangers fan, stay tuned for that. Subscribe for daily New Rangers content. Thanks for watching, and see ya.